this computer. So, for those of you who may not be aware, Eric Lee is one of my good friends, fellow owner of Equity Real Estate, the principal broker for the state, and just a general all-around font of good information and education. I have been learning from Eric for a number of years. Have enjoyed the many things he's done. He also runs the company's educational program. And so I would encourage you to, get online and look at some of the videos and some of the trainings he's done. And then you do trainings on Thursday, is it 11?
Thursdays at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Okay. I knew I was close there. But Thursdays at 10 o'clock live that you can join in and take part of. And so Eric is going to talk to us today about how we can make the most out of our days and our year to come. And is going to share some wisdom. Eric has been through the last downturn, which for me, I've kind of looked at the real estate market, and I've decided if you're not at least 40 and haven't been, through it, one downturn, I'm a little skeptical because it seems like most of my younger, not all, if you're one of them.
Oh, good. I'll take that to work and get you some cheap stuff, but that's fine.
But most of my younger compatriots, it seems like it's always, blue sky forever because that's all they have seen. So if they came into the market about, 2015 to, it has just been up, up, and up. But there are ups and downs. And when we go into a down cycle, particularly, that's when we need to make sure that our skills are good, that we're focused on the basics and the fundamentals, and we're doing everything better than everybody else. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Eric Lee.
Thanks, Randall. I appreciate it. Randall, by the way, is one of the few. We go back almost as, I can't remember who joined Equity first, me or you, but we were within one or two of each other.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And so we go back a long, long ways, and it's been quite an interesting road. But thanks, Randall, for allowing me to be here. And thank you all for coming and taking time out of your busy schedules to learn a little bit, to plug in. I think that's going to be one of the important things that distinguishes people. When the market crashed, as Randall referenced back in 2008, there's a lot of people who went out of business. Last year, we had a lot of people go out of business. Historically, well, the latest numbers I'm getting from the real estate schools is about 85% of new agents are going out of business in their first couple of years. And to me, there are some things that distinguish the people that go out of business and the ones that stay in business. And the primary factor is some people treat it like a business. Another people treat it like a hobby, maybe not even that much, because hobbies at least get some attention. Some just sit around and if somebody calls them, that they'll try to jump in. And I think that's not only, I don't know, there's so many different words that I could apply. Like, I think it's almost despicable to get a real estate license and not ever train yourself and not ever educate yourself and not treat it seriously, and then take $15,000 to $30,000 of your friend's equity in their home when you are providing the value. I think it's dangerous because we've seen these recently huge lawsuits, that Missouri one, that Sitzer Burnett one, and people aren't communicating their value. They're not doing buyer presentations. They're not treating it like a business, and it is a serious business, especially to our clients. And so we need to be taking it that way as well. And I commend each of you for doing so by being here. And I know Randall's recording this, so even the people that can't be here but take the time to watch the recording, it's a good step. All right, I don't want to take a lot of time today, but I do want to address the topic that Randall assigned to me, which is making a business plan. Because again, we want to treat this like a business. And business people act differently. They have plans. They track themselves. Did anybody in here, and I know a lot of you aren't sharing your video. I do love it when you do share your video because it makes me feel like I'm not talking to a bunch of blank screens. But even if you are just on here, you've got a reaction button. And if you don't have a video camera or something, you can hit the reaction button. But do anybody in here, did you work retail or something? One of your first few jobs? Anybody ever work a cashier, cash register? Okay. At the end of the day, you had to count that out, right? You're accountable for everything. If you're off by 10 cents, was that fine?
No.
Everybody shrugged and just said, okay, no big deal, right? 10 cents, who cares? No, you had to account for everything. And yet we get started into real estate and we don't have plans and we don't hold ourselves accountable and we don't set business hours. And we wonder why 85% of us go out of business. And yet others are thriving. And it doesn't matter if there's a downturn, an upturn, it doesn't matter. They're just clicking along, and their business may slow down a little bit, but they are consistent in their closings. They're consistent in bringing home the money, paying the bills. And some years they may pay off a house because that's how well they're paying the bills. And other years they're just paying the bills, but they're never stressed about whether or not they're going to survive. And it's because they have these kinds of habits. So first thing that I want to do is share my screen with you. Oh boy. Sorry, I am on a Mac and I don't go to a Mac a lot. So let me find the one that I want to start with. Nope, it's not that one. Okay, if I do this, do you guys see my screen moving? Do you see a personal blueprint now?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So to me, one of the first things that you want to do before you make goals or business plans, you need to figure out what's important to you. Now, typically this would be a more in-depth training, but I'm going to brush over it today. And I've summarized in my own training that I do. I've got the Elite Agent Training Program, and you can go to eliteagenttraining.com. And I put that into last year I put it into an online course because I realized that the 1 hour training that I do on Thursdays is just simply not enough, especially for new agents that are getting into the business. 1 hour a week, and it may or may not be on a topic that they desperately need information on that week. It's not enough. So I wanted to make an online course. And in that course, I do have a section on training on business development, right? So one of the first things that I've noticed, and for all of you that made New Year's resolutions, we're 15 days in. There's a lot of people that have already quit their resolutions by now. Simply 2 weeks in, there's a lot of people that have quit. In fact, there's only about half of Americans even bother to make goals in the first place. They're not living their life with intent. Of those that do make goals, about 20% of them have quit in the very first week. But the one thing that is outstanding to me is that of the 50% that bother to make goals, 10% of them are still working on them after 2 years. They're still actively engaged in living a life that they are in control of. Okay. They're not just responding to everything around them. They have a plan. And that's who we want to model. And to me, I don't think it's any accident that it's the top 10% that outperform the bottom 90%. We've got the Pareto principle there in play. And it's typically an 80-20 rule, but I think in real estate, it's more of a 90-10. I think the top 10% perform better than the bottom 90. And one of the things to me that is the difference, whether or not you keep your goals or you quit your goals, is if they're tied to something that is vital to who you want to be. So to me, the very first step is your personal blueprint. You have to define yourself. And this is your ideal self. Okay, so business, relationships, I've got 4 general categories here: business, relationships, personal growth, and health. And you have to have a clear vision of who it is you're trying to create here. Because there's a lot of people out there that signed up for a gym membership and they've quit already. But if you have a clear vision of who you want to be in your health, then you don't quit after 2 weeks. You may have hiccups, you may get sick, it may be a snowy day, but each day you wake up with a clear vision of this is who I want to be. And you start to make different decisions each day on the food that you eat, on whether or not you get out of bed and go to the gym or go for a walk or something like that. But the same thing applies to your business. If you have a clear vision of what you want, then you don't quit. So this is where I would start. And there's some up here at the top, there's some ingredients to doing this. We make it a little 2 or 3 sentence thing. We start with the words I am. So every day I wake up and I read, I am 185 pounds of chiseled perfection. Okay. And that goes down in my health one, of course, right? But I do that and I share that one because even though all of these things are personal, that one's probably the least personal and it's a little bit funny. I'm not chiseled, but I've had this goal for a long time. And I'm constantly right between 185 and 190, which is good because that's about the difference between, you know, being dehydrated or not. And I'm pretty comfortable there. And I get to work on the chiseled part, which means I'm constantly trying to work on my diet and habits in that regard. But notice how much more empowering that is than saying, I'm going to lose 10 pounds this year. I mean, just say that to yourself. If you say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds this year, does that feel empowering and motivating? Rather than saying I'm 185 pounds of chiseled perfection, right? So I want you to do that same thing with your business and relationships. I want you to envision this ideal self that you're trying to build and then describe that in 2 or 3 sentences. And once you have that, then we can go on to the next step, which is building a business plan. Do y'all see the business plan page up? Did that come up?
I got like part of it. You need to center it, maybe.
The lead agent training business plan. Yeah,
No.
when I scroll up, we'll see it more.
Got a little, yeah, a little sliver of something I can see to the right, but it's like 2 inches.
Well, do you see the introduction here and define
No.
your goals? And you don't?
No, it's yeah, it's only showing a very small part of that screen for some
Oh,
reason.
hold on. So screen sharing is paused. I see that. I don't know why. I'll stop share and then resume share. Give me a second. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Now you guys have a version of this. I, again, made my own personalized version for my training program. That's what I'll go through with you. But for you guys, if you go to, and let me see if I can do a new share. I want to show you guys where these resources are for yourself. Man, I don't love using the iPad. Let me stop my sharing here. And okay. I'm just going to go back to this and I'll describe where it is because I'm not used to using.
Yeah, we can see it now, so that's good.
Okay. So basically where you can find a business planner like this is if you go to Elevate and go to the marketing tab and go to the marketing center. Okay. And I was going to walk you through this, but again, I'm on my Mac, which I'm not as accustomed to. I just use this when I travel. So you go to the marketing center and down there, there's a section for business plans in the marketing center. And it will walk you through this interactive approach where you come in here and it will allow you to calculate your monthly spending, right? So if you're going to build a business plan, again, businesses are very detailed in these types of things. So you're going to have a business plan. You need to know what your expenses are. What do you have to earn to make it as a self-employed person? So you calculate your monthly expenses, times that by 12, that gives you a yearly financial goal for your take-home income. But then a lot of people have forgotten taxes because now we're self-employed. There's nobody paying our taxes for us. So out of that take-home income, we've got to add in a little bit more for taxes and make sure that we're making enough that we can still pay the tax man and have some money to come home with us and pay our bills. In this, we've got a commission calculator as well. And that's the good news with equity is you're taking home almost everything that you're earning rather than getting a 30% shave off the top. And after that, you've got a solid number. You've accounted for your bills, you've accounted for taxes. Now you have an actual goal of what you have to make in order to survive. And of course, you can expand that a little bit and say, I don't want to live right up to my budget. I want to have some extra money to shoot for in my goal. Now, what's your average commission? And I'm seeing maybe a commission average of around 2.5%. I still see 3% a lot, but I see a lot of people negotiating down. As a result of that Sitzer Burnett case, I've heard of clients even that have seen it on the news saying, well, I don't want to pay full price for a realtor anymore. And so I think we're going to see some more downward pressure on commissions in the future. So you want to calculate that in. And once you've figured out your average commission, you've got your gross commission income. Let's say you want to take $100,000 home and you've got to pay taxes and things like that, or maybe 150 that you want to take home. Then you can divide that by your average commission and get a total volume that you need to do. From there, you can calculate how many closings you have to have. And then it all comes down to last 2 pages here. All right. Once you've determined how many closings you need to have each year in order to meet your numbers, then you need to determine a couple of activities that you're going to specialize in. And nobody can do them all, at least not well, right? So you want to get good at a couple of things. And here's the different ones that I see agents doing. You've got your power team. These are your relationships with other industry professionals, lenders, investors, things like that. These are people that you're working with every day as a part of your real estate business. It could be the plumber, it could be contractors. These people you should be working with. Since you're already having to work with them in your regular real estate career, why not be getting deals from them as well? And that's a whole separate training. But I think every realtor should be working with their power team. Some people choose to smile and dial. If so, there's trainings on that, and they get the auto dialers and they're making 100 to 400 phone calls a day. They're not working so much on building relationships with people because just by sheer numbers, they're going to hit their goals, right? But it takes a lot of discipline to do that. And that's fine. It is a way to the top. There's lots of ways to climb this mountain. There's for sell by owners. This was my favorite way to grow my business. So you can get really good at that. Some people these days are incredible on social media. We've got teenagers now making $100,000 off of social media. So maybe you're one of those whiz kids and you really know how to work that. So that's where you want to put the emphasis. Some people do a lot of open houses. Sphere of influence is one that I think everybody should do. So if it were me advising somebody personally, I'd say sphere of influence and power team. And sphere of influence is because the public has told us overwhelmingly. In fact, when I started in real estate 20 years ago, it's actually 21 years ago now, the statistics were 72% of people say they prefer to work with somebody they already know and trust. Over time, that statistic, every year that the NAR does a study, that statistic has gone up. It's now up to about 87% of people want to work with somebody they know and trust. And the reason for that is because we don't know who we can know and trust anymore. We had a training in our Utah broker meeting last week where there's this new AI thing coming out that can duplicate your voice. Just the fact that we're recording this, I could have my voice duplicated, I could have my face duplicated, and they could pretend to be me. They can spoof your phone number. We're all very aware of all the wire fraud going on. Nobody knows who to trust anymore. And so the public has said with a very loud voice, we would prefer to work with people that we already know and trust. And yet realtors are spending the bulk of their money in billboards or random mailers or like that.
The 13%.
Yeah. And so I think everybody should be working on their sphere of influence, maintaining those good relationships, communicating value, power team, because you're working with them already. You're not going to get through a deal without your lender, without your title company, without a home inspector, and quite often other industry related professionals. So why not take that one little extra step and have those? But beyond that, there's lots of things to choose from. You could be really good at farming. You could buy some leads. There's people that are buying leads from Zillow and from realtor.com. And I'm not going to villainize any of those things. You can build your business however you want, but I want you to pick a minimum of 3 things from here that you're going to get good at. Everybody should be doing sphere of influence and power team. Pick one other thing that you want to get good at. All right. And if you're full-time and you feel like you've got more time than that, then you can pick 2 other things. After this, we've got a 1-page summary of everything, and then we've got an accountability report. All right. So the 1-page summary says, I'm going to make this much money. To do this, I'm going to close this many transactions, because this whole walkthrough that we've done to build our goals out, we don't want to be going through that every morning. What we want is a 1-page printout that says that we can tape up next to our desk, that we can look at it and say, this is where I'm focused, right? I'm going to sign on this many clients. Let's see. I'm going to sign on this many clients per month, knowing that 20%, maybe 50% of signed clients, if you're a brand new agent, it's going to be a higher percentage that won't close. But historically, about 20% of the people that you sign as clients will close. So I'm going to sign on. For me, my goals when I was just full-time agent, I wanted to sign on 4 clients a month. That was 1 client every week. And with that, I was a newer agent, so I accounted for maybe 50% of them won't close, but consistently I'll close 2 to 3 deals a month if I'm signing 1 new client every week. In order to sign a client every week, I need to set 3 appointments a week, because I figured I could have time. Again, I wasn't a great agent at the time. I was brand new. I'd go out. My first listing presentation was 2.5 hours long with my neighbor who didn't hire me. I needed to account for some of that stuff. And so I'm not going to land every appointment that I go on. But if I can make 20 contacts a day, these aren't attempted contacts. This isn't a dial and leave a voice message. I want to actually contact people. If I can make 20 contacts a day, then I could set 3 appointments a week. If I set 3 appointments a week, I'd sign one of them on as a client. That's 4 clients a month, and I would close 2 or 3. And I did that consistently for the bulk of my career until the last couple of years, when I've been focused more on some of my other duties within the company. When the market crashed in 08, we had a policy in Equity that once you hit 100 agents in your brokerage, then you were no longer a competing broker, which means you didn't do real estate anymore. You just focused on your office. And I was the first broker to hit that level of 100 agents. And so I disbanded my team. I gave my database away. My team members went and they took it. They continued to work my database. And 3 or 4 years later, the market crashes in 08. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm out here doing trainings and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what a short sell is. I've never been through a short sell. All of these terms that are being thrown around, that agents are coming to me with questions. I'm not an effective manager. Also, in the last 3 or 4 years, there were several other brokers within Equity that had gone over 100 agents, and they're like, hey, this isn't a big deal. We can continue to close deals, but we enacted the policy, which is still our policy today, that I'm out doing real estate, but I'm not competing with you. And so if I went out on a listing presentation, they said, hey, I just met with one of your agents the other day. I say, oh, that's fantastic. Hire them, because then you get both of us, because I'm always on their team. And that's our policy to this day. We don't compete with our agents, but we are in the field doing business. Randall does more business than almost anybody, and it makes him a phenomenal broker and trainer because he knows what's going on out there. He's got his finger on the pulse. And so that's our policy today. But back then, I'd gone 3 or 4 years now without clients because it had been a policy. And so with the market shift in 08, things had slowed down a lot. And I went to my agents. I said, guys, I'm going to throw my hat back in the ring. And here's my policy. I'm not going to compete with you, but I am going to be out there doing real estate. And I went back and I did this exact same goal that I had done when I'd started a few years before. And I put it into place. 20 contacts a day. And at this time, I've got over 100 agents. And so I'm juggling this part of my business as well. But I was still able to do 20 contacts a day. And I had a lot of people that I knew in my database, but all my past clients were gone. So I was basically starting over from scratch. 20 contacts a day, 3 appointments a week. I signed and closed 2 deals a month, starting almost immediately for the rest of the time moving forward. And so I know this works. It's worked for me twice, once when I was a new agent, once when I was starting over as a broker. And so what I'm sharing with you does work, but it takes discipline and it takes accountability. And so I use a couple of tools for discipline, because discipline is hard. It's not fun. It's It's one of the hardest things I think that we ever do. And I think as we age, or I'm going to say mature, that it almost gets harder. You would think that it would get easier as time goes on to have discipline, but when you roll over in bed and your NIC goes out for 3 weeks and you can't sleep and you didn't do anything wrong, it wasn't that you made a horrible mistake in in getting involved with your teenagers and playing football or something. You rolled over in bed weird, right? It's hard to be disciplined that next day when you haven't slept at all that night and you're in pain all the time. So discipline isn't an easy thing. This is a constant battle that we're always facing. If you can't tell, I'm sharing very personal things here because that's my next. I've been to the chiropractor 4 times in the last 2 weeks for that very thing. So I can relate with you guys on the challenges here. But the things that help me get past those challenges are some of these very simple tools. So on my 1-year business plan, where I've got the summary of what I need to be doing, and it all comes down to a simple daily task of contacting 20 people. And I want to make sure that that's yielding the results that I expected it would when I made these goals. But down here, you'll notice every month, I want a summary of it. So I need a daily accountability form and a weekly accountability form so that at the end of the month, I know I'm not going to go back through 30 days and count hash marks in order to be accountable. I just know I'm not going to do that, right? So I need some tools to help me with that. So one of the tools that I use is, let's see here. Goodness. Got to stop my sharing and share a new screen. I'm sure that there's a better way to do it. I'm just not familiar enough with this. Are you guys still seeing which one do you see?
It says started screen sharing.
Okay.
But I'm not seeing anything. It just has got that little bit in the.
Okay. I'm trying to stop it and then just share the screen that I want. See if it'll allow me to do that. Okay. Now you should see it. All right.
Yep.
So we're going to start with our daily planner, right? The first thing we want to do every morning is get up, and we've got to wear 3 hats here. Okay. Every business, they've got a CEO. Successful businesses, we're looking big scale. They've got a CEO, they've got mid-level managers, and they've got the technicians, the people that are, pushing the carts and the cashiers, that kind of thing, right? All the people that are getting the job done. So very first, we want to, since we're acting like a business, we got to put our CEO hat on. Are we doing activities today that follow our blueprint? Are we building the person that we want to build, or are we living somebody else's life? Because if we're just putting out everybody else's fires, you're going to get, either way, you're going to get to the end of the day exhausted. But in one scenario, you've got a clear direction of what it is you wanted to build, and you get to the end of the day exhausted, knowing that you've accomplished something important to you. And the other scenario, you get to the end of the day exhausted, and we've all been there, where we get to the end of the day and we're like, I'm exhausted and I don't even know what I did today. I feel like I didn't make any progress. I just spun my wheels. And so having a plan is the first step in not going along with everybody else's plan. When you have something that's important for you to do today, and somebody comes to you and says, hey, I've got an emergency, and you say, can I get to that in an hour? Because right now I'm making these contacts. And it's surprisingly, about 90% of other people's emergencies can wait an hour.
Yeah.
While you do your important things. But if you don't have anything important planned for yourself today, if you're not treating yourself as important, if you're not treating your business as important, then all you do is put out everybody else's fires. And it's amazing to me, because we've all got a 90-minute callback guarantee here at Equity. It's part of our policy for brokers. It's amazing to me that if I'm in a meeting like this, and it takes me an hour to get back to somebody, I text them back and say, hey, I just got out of my meeting. How can I help you? And they're like, don't worry, I got it figured out. So a lot of times when you're not there immediately to solve somebody's problem, it's not really a problem, right? They'll solve it on their own and you can get your important stuff done. But you might be super helpful to people and never make progress. So you got to have a plan. So every day you're going to go through that plan, and every day you're going to get yourself in the right mindset with your gratitudes. You got an attitude of gratitude. And the simple rule for gratitudes is be detailed. It's not, I'm thankful for Randall Wall. Okay. Why am I thankful for Randall? I'm thankful that Randall cares about his agents enough to do these trainings. I'm grateful that he's there. I'm grateful that he's constantly educating himself. He's probably the only person I know that reads more than I do. And he doesn't just do it by a little bit. He does it by a lot. But I'm grateful to have a broker like Randall here in Utah to lead our agents. So when I start my day with an attitude of gratitude like that, and you're doing that with your spouse or with your kids, and you're getting into the details, you approach life differently. The next thing I want to do is I want to put on my manager's hat at the start of the day, and I put it on at the end of the day as well. But now that I've got a clear vision of what it is I'm trying to build in my head, I go through and I plan my day out. What are the 5 most important action steps I need to take in order to fulfill my blueprint? Now, some of the basics here, I need to be exercising every day. I need to be reading every day. Okay, so those aren't part of the 5 action items. Those are everyday things that just need to be done. Okay, so I'm going to take time to plan. Who are the 20 people I'm going to contact? Because I'm not going to be sitting in front of my computer all day long. I'm going to be in the car. I'm going to be running around to appointments. So if I can take this one page with me, and as I'm driving, you know, if you've got, of course, voice activated phone on your car, right? So that you're not distracted, because I'm not encouraging anybody to drive distracted. Let's be very clear on that. But quite often I'll get to appointment 10 minutes early or 20 minutes early because traffic was very cooperative that day. And I could just sit there and kill time. I could, you know, surf on my phone, or I could say, you know what, I've got a couple of people I can contact here. So when you take the time to plan, you can be much more efficient with your day. You don't have to work a 12-hour day to be successful in this. You can work a standard 8-9 hour day and make this happen for you. But it takes this type of planning, and you have to treat it like a business in
Why
advance.
is the Book of Mormon so essential if we already?
You have to be, you have to
Um,
be efficient on your day planning, you know?
yeah,
Like you can stay busy all day long, but if you're not busy doing the things that you put down, you're in trouble.
exactly. And then at the end of the day, we want to hold ourselves accountable. So we've got to, this came from a training at UAR. There was a guy there that trains Olympic athletes. And he said, we've got this saying, practice makes perfect, but it doesn't. If you practice something imperfectly, you'll simply perfect an imperfect practice. So what he says is that practice makes permanent. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to keep ourselves in an attitude of growth, but we also want to recognize our victories. And so his formula for that is, at the end of the day, 3 things. Identify 3 things that you did well. Identify 1 thing that you can improve. And when you put your manager hat on the next day, you can look at yesterday's improvement thing and say, you know what, I'm going to schedule a little bit of time for this. I did my listing presentation. It was 2.5 hours. This obviously can't go on. Okay, I've got to trim this way down. So today I'm going to set aside an hour to go through my listing presentation. I'm going to trim the fat, the things that I stumbled over. I'm going to learn a little bit better. And every day, if I improve 1 little thing, at the end of the year, I'm unrecognizable. This isn't great big giant leaps forward. It's simple little improvements every day. But this is what businesses do. They take time. This is part of being the manager, is they review what the employees did that day. And again, we're wearing all these hats. So we review our own work for the day and say, this is where I can improve. Randall, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, so I was going to ask, it seems to me like my experience has been, you can change 1 major thing a year and like 3 other things. If you make these huge long lists, it seems like it's just too much, you know, but like 1 major, like if you want to focus on being grateful for the year, and you're generally pessimistic, that should be, that's like your number one focus. You can do that. But if you want to become better at, like, either you can look at your goals or call people or etc. You can do like 3 of those where you can truly accomplish. What has been your experience on that? I always seem to be limited to 1 major and 3 minors.
For me, I use these tools here. So I don't have major goals necessarily. I have a vision of who I want to be. And I'm doing little things every day to be that person. And some of those things are big deals. They're very important to me, but the small daily steps to be that person is never a big deal. Like if I want to close 2 transactions a month consistently, which would be a $300,000 income in today's market, it's not a huge deal to contact 20 people a day. That's not overwhelming. If I want to be healthy, and then the simple little task today is, okay, I need to fill my water bottle before I leave, because otherwise I know when I'm on the road, based on my own past history, I'm going to be thirsty and I'm going to stop somewhere. And I hate paying for water on the road. It's the same cost of paying for a soda. Why not get a soda? That's just me personally. But if I take the time to fill my water bottle and have that ready for me, that's the difference between me having a soda and me having water. And so I don't, even though the tasks are big, the end vision is big, the daily tasks to get there is not. And so to me, that's where I keep my focus, is just on these small, simple things that I can do each day. And then at the end of the day, I've got a little place, if I've got this sheet in front of me, I'm just going to do a little hash mark through each of these. I made my 20 contacts today. I got 1 appointment. I got no appointments. Okay. Did I land any new clients? Did I actually go out and sign an exclusive buyer broker agreement or an exclusive right to sell with somebody? Did I have any closings? If I've got 5 sheets for the week of this, then very easily I've got to stop sharing and go to my week review. Man, I'll stop sharing and then I go to the new form I want to share, and it says my screen sharing is paused, and I don't know why. So I'm going to keep trying it, because okay, do you see week review?
Yep.
So my week review is very simple. This is part of me putting on my manager hat, and I go through my last 5 days and I say, okay, I made 20 contacts on this day and 10 on this day. Here's my total contacts. Here's my total appointments. And for the week, what were some things overall that I did well? What's one thing that I can improve? And then I take this and I carry this over to that first form that you saw, which is my monthly closings. And I have that form next to my computer all day, every day. Right? And I'm holding myself accountable. This is me counting my till at the end of the day. So with that said,
I like that terminology, counting your till.
the key for me in all of this is, sorry, there was a question typed in here. Let me see what that was.
Could you possibly please put that up one more time so I can take a screenshot of it?
Yes, what, the weekly one?
Just the last one that you had up a minute ago or 30 seconds ago. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is Marjana, by the way. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so all these things are very simple things to do. And I go old school with the paper, because I have yet to find a fancy software that does this for me in a very, my reason for paper is I can have it in front of me and it helps me stay focused. There's so many distractions today. So if I can stay focused with this and say, okay, these are the people I need to contact. But mind you, there's a lot of us that are impatient. We want to just get started. We want to wake up. We want to go. We don't want to take the time to plan the 20 people out, the names, and write down their names and phone numbers, but then we go out on the road and we have 10 or 15 minutes of free time between appointments or something like that. We finish our lunch appointment early. Somebody cancels on us and we've got an extra hour. and we don't have any of our information with us, and we're less effective. So I do encourage you to take the time each day to wear those different hats. Have a plan, have a clear focus on what it is you're trying to build in your life so that you never give up and never quit. But then beyond that, put that plan into action and use some very simple forms. And by the way, if you go to Elevate, to Elite Agent Training, or you go to Elevate and then the training tab, find Elite Agent Training there. And I've got some very basic samples of some of this stuff that I went over with you. There's some PDF forms that you can download. I have refined those for the things I shared with you today were from my Elite Agent Training program. So I think that answered Katie's question right there, where to find some of those forms. And anyways, yeah, it's very simple to me. I've got a 3-ring binder. I print out a new form every day. I make my plan. That goes into my 3-ring binder. And whenever I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what should I be doing right now? I can stay focused. And it's the difference between getting stuff done and not getting stuff done. So Randall, was that helpful?
That was very helpful. I like how you mentioned you got to break the big things down into smaller, manageable steps. And I would agree with you too. I try to do everything on the phone, and there just isn't any good apps that let you do everything, that you're going to do there. And so it's nice to, take your page with you that's got, the whole, list of things that you want to do during the day, and it just makes it much simpler. Like sometimes I like to put the numbers of people I need to call on there as well, not just the names, but the numbers in case they don't pop up, easily on my phone and that. And so,
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found is I've got a piece of paper there. I'm always talking to people. I'm like, okay, I need to write down a quick note. And if I'm on the phone, and especially if I'm in public, I can't put it on speaker and take notes on my phone as well. So if I'm on the phone, I have a piece of paper there that I can hurry and write some notes down on. And then when I put the manager hat on at the end of the day, I've got that one piece of paper with all of my notes. I can jump onto my contact management software and I can say, okay, I had this conversation with this person. I need to follow up with them tomorrow. I need to follow up with this person here in 2 weeks. These people mentioned, they're sick right now. I want to send them a get well thing or something like that, so I can make my notes in the day. And then at the end of the day, it's not just a big blur. I can come back and put the manager hat on again and condense it all into actionable items for the following day.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Let's open it up for any questions anybody has. If you've got a question, we'd love to have you ask Eric while we've got him here. It's always funny, I'll always ask if anybody has any questions. I have people that pay it, $500 to $1,000 an hour to have me go over real estate stuff. But when I ask if you got any questions, I would do it for free. It's always crickets. So
I feel like it's a sign we taught the course well.
yeah.
That's the way.
This is Gautam here.
I have a question.
Okay, hold
Is
on.
there
Gautam
guess we-
first, and then Catherine, you'll
Okay.
next. So Gautam was
Okay.
first there. Go ahead, Gautam.
Hey, I'm in the Elevate site. Sorry, I just logged in late. Can
Yeah.
you just guide me the steps to access the plan, please?
So if you go to the business planning form
Uh-huh.
is under Elevate, and then go to the marketing tab.
Marketing tab, yeah.
And then go to the marketing center.
Mhm.
And then you just scroll down a little bit and there's a planning tab there.
Planning, okay. And real estate business plan.
Yep.
In that, you have the calculator plan and the success plan. So which one you are showing?
What I showed you was the calculator plan where you go through and you plug in the numbers and it calculates it down as you go.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Was
And
it
then
Catherine?
Catherine?
Oh, yeah, I'm just trying to find personal connections to help with social media because like Instagram, is there any training on that? I had a title company agent show me, but if you create a business account, you can't message all your people, and it's very confusing as to what how to access people if you can't use your own contacts. I guess you just post things and hope to get new contacts.
Well, I think I'm going to answer this a little bit here. Number one is everybody wants to run out and do the latest and greatest thing.
Hmm.
If you noticed here on the things that Eric shared with us, those were pretty much the tried and true things. So nobody is making a killing on Instagram. Nobody's making a killing for business on Facebook. I've spent over $150,000 on trying to make this work for me. Equity as a company has spent over $100,000, and it's never been worth the money. So that doesn't mean that it's not important, but instead of taking time trying to do something like that, I can guarantee you that if you go back to your specifics that you had there, the SOI, the calling, the reaching out, etc., you're going to do a lot more business than you're ever going to do trying something new. Now, there's a ton of educational things. Charla Ellis has a lot of, how to go on Instagram, how to learn. So I would contact her. We've actually had her here before, but if you're looking at getting through 2024 and actually making some money, go back to your foundational basics. If you're like me, you're 60 years old, unless you've got somebody you've got younger that's going to do it, like William over here for you, or something else like that, don't go out there and try and be the latest whiz on technology. It's not going to work.
Add on to that, Randall. Content creation is one thing. I can create a lot of content, but those platforms are, Facebook and Instagram specifically, are paid to play programs.
Yes.
If you're not paying for your marketing, does anybody recognize on there that you don't see all of your friends' posts? Do y'all recognize that? You're seeing just a small fraction of your friends' posts and then lots and lots of ads. It's because it's designed that way. And so if you're creating a lot of content, but 5% of your friends see it, that's not very effective. So you got to create the content, and then you got to pay to make sure that it goes out to everybody around you. And there is separate trainings on that. But as Randall said, that may be an area of your business you want to invest in and try to go down that road and learn how to do. But it is a significant effort to do that. It's not something that people do. And so what most people will find to aid their business is what Randall said. Use Facebook, use Instagram. When you see somebody's posts, use that as an excuse to engage them. Use that as an excuse to have a contact with them. Make them one of your 20 contacts. You don't have to be the content creator that is, we've got realtors up north where I'm at that are, they're doing the worm down the hallway of their office. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be the person humiliating myself on public video. That just isn't me. I'm not going to be that person. And some people will do anything it takes to get views. And I know that's not me, but I still get on those platforms, and then I see my friends posting or clients posting or something, and it gives me an excuse to contact them and have a value added contact. So that's what Randall's talking about, is getting back to your basics. Don't go into those platforms thinking I need to be the content creator and this is where all my business is going to come from. That's where your people are at. Use that to get in contact with your people. This is a people business.
Absolutely. William, unmute yourself.
Hey, Eric.
So we've been paying $2,000 a month for people to guide us through the video, to get up to the top of the YouTube algorithm, etc. William, how many transactions have we done off of that so far in the last 4 months? Zero.
And I think there's definitely a difference between using business accounts and personal accounts. So we've had more success with like Facebook posts that are on our actual accounts. Whereas with business accounts, you basically just have to push out.
And you
Yeah.
gotta pay a bunch of money. So it's what Eric was telling you. Somebody posts something on Facebook, go comment on it. Call them, have a meaningful conversation. Or, if, like I would say, I've reached through and tried to contact maybe 10 a day. I'll at least comment because it's top of mind awareness, right? They remember, that I'm, in real estate, and then I can have those conversations with them. And sorry, there was you had a question? Yeah.
Yeah, Michael here. I've used the KV Core to do some of those Facebook posts and spent quite a bit of money on using the KV Core to list stuff or to promote stuff. And I hadn't had a big response or any response really on leads from that. Any comments on that?
For us, it used to be better. When the market tightened up, it seemed like those leads tightened up as well.
Yeah.
So it was starting out really good, but currently, I don't think, we closed a number. It was good. It was cheap. It was effective. But right now, in all honestness, it's tough if you're out there. It's like Eric said, if you're trying to get the 13%, it's really tight right now.
Yeah, I think for us, honestly, in terms of online marketing, our most success has been through Google Ads, either through Performance Max or other campaigns. But
guys,
you
I
still
would
have to spend like $4,000 a month on that. So
Yeah, I would encourage you, don't use the spray and pray approach where you're trying a little bit of everything. You hear somebody say, well, I'm getting, success on Google Ads. How much money did they spend to get there? And, they're learning this as a science, or I'm having success on social media. The tried and true things are still the simplest things. This is a personal business. Real estate is scary for people because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's legal contracts. There's threats of lawsuits. If you can be there with them personally, you're going to get that business. And so using all of these things as an opportunity to connect with somebody, I think that's where you're going to get your most value. And so have a goal of 20 contacts a day.
Yes. I mean, that's like, if you go back and look on, these are what Eric, put down, and it's like Power Team Smile and Dial for sale by owner. Social media is on there, but I wouldn't be spending, I didn't make $5,000 off of $100,000 spend.
I've got agents that do it and they make money with it, but they've put a lot of time and effort into getting good at the content creation.
Sure. SOI farming, buying leads. Those are all things that anybody can do, and it's and I think that's, is a key thing. And then making those 20 contacts a day. How many people make 20 contacts a day? I can tell you that, we've got 17 left right here. I'd be surprised if there's 2 that make 20 contacts a day. And I see this again and again. I'll have agents that'll go out of the business. I'm sure Eric does too. And I'll ask them, how many people did you contact this week? Or how much time did you spend in prospecting? And the average time seems to be about 15 minutes. And they're honest, it's like 15 minutes. So you got to treat it like a job. And what Eric, shared with us here, and I probably got some more of those screen capture that I looked at, was put down 20. Who are you going to contact? Get down to your 20, because that's probably 20 times more than you're contacting on average anyway. And people don't want to contact people today. They want to go on Facebook and run Facebook ads. Do I do that? Yeah. I run Facebook and I do Google and whatever else, but that's not where the business is really done. We're just always trying something new. And right now it's in the trying phase. It's not in the it's making me money phase. It's in the it costs me money every month phase. So
But
like
you've been forever, but you've also identified the key things that have made you successful. So you're not just trying a whole bunch of new things all the time. You've identified the core things that bring you business consistently. You're always doing those. And then in addition to that, you've got a team that helps you. Okay, let's try something new. Let's see what else works out there. And that's why you've been the whole time that I've, over 20 years that I've known you, you've been consistent in that, Randall. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to-
Hey.
It's good to try new things, but don't hang your hat on it for feeding yourself.
Randall, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. I'm going to jump off right now. I've got a 5-hour drive to make and I want to get through while it's all daylight. So thank you,
Be
everybody.
safe.
for your
Thank
time.
you, and everybody that came. Good to see you all. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Eric.